The book of Bereshit ends with the last few days of the life of Jacob. He summons his children and his grandchildren. He blesses them. And he makes them promise that upon his demise, he'll be taken to the land of Canaan and buried there in the family burial plot in Hebron. The Torah then describes his elaborate funeral, how he was taken in a long procession from Egypt to Canaan and how he was buried, and then the return of his sons to Egypt and the death of Joseph and his brothers. What's really strange is that the parsha is called Vayechi, Vayechi Yaakov, and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt. And yet most of the parsha is not about his life. It's in fact about his death, how he died and how he was buried. One would think that perhaps the parsha should be called something else rather than Vayechi. He lived. Most of the life of Jacob has already been described in the previous parshiot. And we have a similar question with the previous parsha, Chayei Sarah, the parsha of the life of Sarah, which begins with her death. It says, these are the years of the life of Sarah, and Sarah died. Isn't it unusual to name a parsha which describes the death of a person and yet to refer to it as their life? This is incongruous. How do we understand it? And perhaps the answer to this is an interesting statement of our rabbis in the Talmud. They tell us as follows, Hatzadikim af b'mitatam kruyim chayim. That the righteous people, even when they are dead, are called alive. V'harashayim, and the wicked people, afilu b'chayehem, even in their lifetime, are called dead. The righteous continue to live on after their physical death, and the wicked are like dead even in this world, even when they are alive. And perhaps that's what the Torah Parsha is telling us. Vayechi Yaakov. Even though Jacob died, nevertheless he continues to remain alive. Even though Sarah passed away, because of her righteousness, she continues to remain alive. How does this work? How exactly does this happen? That a person who has passed away many, many years later can still be considered to be alive. Let me share with you this example, which I always find to be a very moving and meaningful example. When I studied at yeshiva, every single day we would learn the Talmud, the Gemara, and very often we would also learn the Chumash, we would learn the Parsha of the week. And with the Chumash, with the study of Chumash and with the study of Talmud, it goes without saying that you learn the commentary of Rashi. You need the commentary of Rashi to understand the Chumash, you need the commentary of Rashi to understand the Talmud. There is not a single day that goes by that somebody in the world is not learning the commentary of Rashi. Now Rashi died pretty much 1,000 years ago. But every single day, people are learning what he had written. And our sages tell us as follows, that when you read and when you say over the teaching of a person who has passed away, it is as if their lips move in the grave. They continue to teach. They may be dead, but they continue to teach their lessons. Wicked people, there is nothing to learn from them, even in their lifetime. On the contrary, the only thing you can learn from them is to be not like them. But righteous people, through the life that they led and through the lessons that they taught, continue to teach beyond the grave. They're always alive. They're always with us. And in fact, our sages say it more about Jacob than any of the other fathers. Because when it describes his death, the Torah uses a number of verbs, but it never explicitly says that he died. It never says, Vayamot Yaakov. And on that our sages say, this teaches us, Yaakov Avinu lo met. Jacob didn't die. Oh, what does that mean, Jacob didn't die? The Talmud says, of course he died. We see that they embalmed him. They put him in a coffin. They buried him in the land of Canaan. What does it mean he didn't die? Of course he died. So it says no. Just as his descendants, his sons are called alive, so too he is alive. And what does it mean? Exactly as we've just explained. Jacob physically may be dead, but the lessons, the teaching, what he instilled in his children, and what his children instilled in their children, and so on until this present day, continues to be alive. He continues to teach. And therefore, when we remember somebody, when we speak of somebody who's passed on, perhaps a relative, perhaps a great teacher, it's true that physically they've gone, but they continue to be with us in this world if we continue to learn their lessons and to emulate them. And therefore, it's very appropriate. Vayechi Yaakov, and Jacob lived, because even in his death, he remained alive. I wish you a good Shabbat.